Welcome everyone to Goodknits. I'm Sherry and I'm a Canadian expat living in Amsterdam with my kitty Ollie. Hey baby. So I thought I'd just sit down and record today a little bit of a knitting update. I have been finding my knitting mojo again, which is making me really happy. And so I thought it would be great to share that with you guys, especially following off of, you know, how kind of heavy the last episode was. Thank you so much to everybody that commented on that video or actually sent me a personal message through email or Instagram. I don't even have words for how much that meant to me. Seeing how many of you really shared and opened up yourselves about your own stories of loss, it really touched me and it gave me a lot of comfort. I was super nervous to record that episode. I also really debated in the end if I should even post it. I felt like it was very vulnerable, maybe a bit too heavy for the knitting community. It's not really the fun, lighthearted content that most people, you know, come to podcasts to watch. So thank you for making it through that if you did, even if you didn't, but you still commented anyway. The biggest heartfelt thank you to all of you. It helped get me through a very dark time. Of course, I'm still grieving the loss of my mom. That's going to be there for probably a lifetime, but definitely a while. You know, hearing how you guys have dealt with your own losses really helped me, and especially knowing what made everybody smile. I think there's a lot of stories of your children and your grandkids, but also just furry friends. I smiled reading all of them. So thank you. I promise today is not going to be a heavy episode like that. I really just wanted to sit down and share the joy of knitting again. So I hope you will stick around for this. It'll probably be a fairly brief episode, but better brief than nothing. The first thing that I want to talk about today is my finished object that I'm wearing, and that is my SABAI Sweater, which is a pattern by Paula Strict or Suzanne Muller. And I made the tank top version of this in the summer last year, loved it, got a ton of wear out of it, especially this year. And I just really love how casual and easy this fit is to wear. It's got this, you know, kind of boat neck, which is just a simple cast on, a bit of a drop shoulder here, and it's really just easy stockinette knitting. I made mine in a size small. I kind of figured that my gauge was going to be off on this. I did not gauge swatch for it, which is bad. Bought the yarn just as something I wanted to cast on. I figured I would measure my gauge as I went, and if I needed to start over, I would. However, with the news of my mom, I ended up having to take this project to Canada, and while I did bring needles sizes down in case I needed to start over, I realized I did not bring needles to size up. So I knit this on a 4mm needle, and I kind of figured as I was working on it, my gauge was a little bit tight and I probably should have knitted on 4.5mm. But I didn't want to throw away 2 weeks of work in Canada, and I really didn't have anything else to work on and no opportunity to go buy other yarn. And just, you know, given the heaviness of that trip, I needed something to work on in my spare time. So I decided to just keep going and hope for the best. This was meant to have 20 centimeters of positive ease. So the size small should have given me about 22, 23 centimeters. I didn't end up quite there, so I would say I'm somewhere between an extra small to a small in the final size. I was supposed to have a gauge of 21 by 30 stitches, and my final gauge I just measured was 23 by 34. So especially on my row gauge, I'm really off. Thankfully, the pattern mostly just said to measure to a certain length and then carry on from there. I did measure as I went, so I'm a bit surprised by my row gauge, because as I was knitting the section, so when I finished the German short rows and I knit the front piece, I double checked, and I always had basically the measurement that she said in the pattern. So it said, hey, your piece should be roughly 16 centimeters in length. it was, so I figured I was fine, but maybe in the blocking or something, things kind of changed. The final bust circumference of this should have been about 110 centimeters. Mine is roughly 105, 106. So I'm still happy with the positive ease, but my length, I think because I was trying to block it out to get more of that width, my length kind of shortened up, and that's actually probably why my road gauge ended up being off. So it's a little bit shorter than I really wanted this piece to be. I would say this is a length that I typically like in my sweater. It's about the 52, 53 centimeter length, which typically is fine for me, but I think the fit of this one specifically was meant to be a little bit longer. It's fine. I do have some yarn left. I might go back and add some more later, but I'm gonna wear it and see how I feel. I'm at least happy that the sleeves are as long as they are. I actually ended up adding a little bit more length than the pattern called for, and I'm happy about that. I did not talk about what I knit this with. So I knit in the Lamana Como yarn in the color 69, which is this beautiful kind of pine color. And I am really happy with this yarn. So this is a DK weight, but it's very, very lightweight. And it's about, I paid $7.95 per ball, which isn't bad. It's kind of comparable to knitting for Olive. And this was just a really enjoyable experience. It's definitely really, really lightweight for a DK yarn. I will definitely be using this again. And the color range is pretty good on it. The pattern for the size small called for 9 balls of this. Obviously, because my gauge was off, my yarn quantities were also off, so I did end up having to go buy a 10th ball, like kind of on the last day, so that I could finish my like 15 remaining rows of my sleeves. What I found though is probably with the other little bit that I had, so I had another ball that had about this much left. I think I probably could have gotten away finishing my sleeve with just this, but I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to be right down to the final amount when the yarn shop, Hooks and Yarn, was on my walk home from work. So I just went and picked this up. I figure worst case, I will go ahead and make some fingerless gloves with this. Paula Strict also has a pattern for a DK weight glove, and I think I will use this remaining if I have enough. So between this is basically 1 full ball. So when I weighed my yarn, I basically used 1 gram of yarn from like this amount. So this amount's 25 grams. I have 24 grams left. So kind of a waste of money, probably, you know, $7.95 that I didn't need to spend, but hopefully I can make use of this. And I might go back and add more length to the body, like I said. So maybe in the end I will end up using it, but maybe not. One thing I am finding with this pattern, so I'm really happy with the overall color, yarn, mostly the fit. I do find, so the neckline here on the tank top version really curled because you just do a straight normal long tail cast on and then get going. I think because this version has short rows written into the pattern as well as a version without short rows, that helped with how this is sitting. But also I think this yarn just tends to sit a little better than the linen yarn that I use for the tank top. So far, this is my first moment wearing this. I'm not having any issues with the neckline. Where I'm not totally happy with the fit on this is the kind of flaring at the body. And I noticed this also on my cognac sweater when it's this kind of lightweight type yarn and there's no waist shaping or anything. Even though those patterns have short rows in them, I'm noticing that the back kind of rides up and flips out in a bit of a triangle shape. Does anybody else have that issue? And if so, how do you go about fixing it? Would waist shaping help with that? Because I don't necessarily want my waist to taper in. And maybe it's just a matter of I need to wear this a bit more or steam it, because I do know when I lay these down to block, I end up with kind of a side seam. Maybe that's partly what's causing the issue. But it really drives me crazy when I'm standing to the side and I can just see everything flaring out. And ideally I just want things to sit straight down. Maybe it's my chest because it's slightly bigger, I don't know. But that's the only thing here where, okay, the final length and the way that the body is actually sitting, I'm not 100% happy with. I also think, you know, you just do a normal cast off here, nothing fancy. On the sleeves, that's totally fine. There's no curling. On the body, there is a little bit. I debated when I was working on it if I should do the non-curling bind off, which is the same as I would have done on my skirt number 1. And I also did that on the collar of my Winnie sweater when I cast on. I think that would have helped a little bit, but honestly, I don't like the extra little edge that that creates. I do find it's a little bit noticeable. So I think if I were to knit this again, I would maybe just do a 2 or 3 cord I-cord bind off. I find the I-cord is what is on my cognac sweater, and that doesn't really curl. Like the I-cord just helps that to sit a little bit flatter. So this isn't as bad as, what did I just knit? Oh, my lane loop tee. That also just has a normal bind off, and that is also curling up. I tried to steam that thing the other day and I cannot get it to lay flat. So this is nowhere near as bad as the lane loop tee, but this is curling up a little bit. I am struggling to fix that, and so I think in the future I need to go a little bit more with my gut and be like, okay, on bodies I really just shouldn't do a normal cast off. I need to do either an I-cord or the non-rolling. If you've worked this before, you have any other tips and tricks for how you help the bottom not curl, let me know, because I'd like to incorporate that in future pieces. I do think I will make this SABAI again, and probably in the same yarn, because I just really like the way it feels. But I would want to fix those. So I think I'd want to make slightly longer body. I would want to do a different cast off, maybe even do a cord on the sleeves themselves. But like I said, the sleeves don't bother me. I think they lay quite nice right now. So that's my SABAI sweater. Literally just finished this, like weaving in the ends right before I sat down to record. So these are my very initial thoughts on my first time wearing it. I think I need to get a little bit more. I do see this being a piece that I'm going to incorporate a lot in my wardrobe, especially with all my knit skirts, my plaid skirts, my jeans. I think this is going to be really versatile based on the overall fit and the color. I really, really love this color. Stay tuned for this. It will come up in future wear test videos, and I will keep you posted how I feel. But I could see myself knitting this again. Final thing I want to share on it is the cost. So I had 10 balls purchased at $7.95, so this piece cost me $79.50, which I think for the fit and the amount of wear I'm going to get out of it and the quality of this yarn, great price, happy with that, and definitely I'm not going to make any changes to the yarn that I use in the future. Moving into some new projects that I literally just casted on in the last couple days and I'm really excited about. So when I finish my SABAI, the only other whip that I have other than my currently hibernated Stromboli tee is my self-drafted, barely self-drafted Zauberball shawl, which I'm not even going to bother showing today because I think I've worked 6 additional rows since we last talked. I still have quite a ways to go on the second ball of yarn that I have for that Zauberball True Autumn color, and I think I'll just show that when it's done. So if you want to see it, you can go to my Ravelry or go watch the previous video, but that's literally all I have. And so it was a nice project to just kind of knit on here and there, but because the rows are so long at this point, I'm making such slow progress on it. It is basically, you know, one row is 20 minutes, the other row is 20 minutes, and I feel like I'm barely getting anywhere. So I have been spending a lot of time on Ravelry and just looking at what I had in my queue, what yarn I already had, so that I didn't have to go buy anything else right now, because I am going to Barcelona Knits next weekend, depends when I post this. So November 14th to 17th, I will be in Barcelona. And I'm trying to wait on buying yarn for any upcoming projects until I'm there, because I want to squish and touch everything, see what's inspiring me, probably pick up at least one project's worth of yarn, and then bring that back. So when it comes to especially garments, I didn't want to go out and purchase anything new because I'm saving my money for that festival. So I looked at what I had in my very tiny yarn stash here. Include a little video of just how tiny my yarn stash is because I haven't shown it in a while. And I remembered that I had the Filcolana Arwetta in the color Bordeaux. So that is color 245. I bought 2 skeins of this last year with the intention of making a Musselburgh hat, and that is exactly what I have done. So this is where I'm at right now. I took quite a while to watch videos and figure out how to cast this thing on. So the Musselburgh Hat is a pattern by Isolde Teague, and she has quite a few helpful videos on this, helping you figure out how to get started, how you measure your gauge to figure out what size and length you do, how many increases you do. So I spent a lot of time the other day just watching through those. I did try to do her disappearing pinhole cast on in the way that she describes it, which is she mostly focuses on doing it on DPNs. I was reminded very quickly how useless I am with DPN needles. I did not enjoy that process. Everything was falling apart. I was trying to do it at night as well, so it was just a disaster. So I looked up some easier methods and decided to switch to Magic Loop. Even though I don't love Magic Loop either, I am better at it. So I found the really helpful video by Tash at Mostly Knitting. She does the pinhole cast on in a slightly different way than Isolde's videos. That was really easy for me. I just went ahead and did that. I'll link the video in the notes below. And then I proceeded to start my hat here. So I've done, I think, 8 increase rounds so far. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, especially with the light right now. I did mess up one of my increase rounds. So I think where I haven't done Magic Loop in a while, and I think where I was holding the needle to switch sides, like the needle and the yarn, I ended up wrapping the stitch, so I ended up kind of with an extra stitch, and then I was trying to correct that. Anyway, I messed it up. Magic Loop is not my friend, and I figured this will just end up being the inside of the hat because this hat pattern, I think everybody knows about it, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but it's basically a double folded stockinette tube. You start with your increases, you knit a really long tube, you do your decreases, you fold it together, you flip the brim up. Since I'm doing this in one color, I figure this can just serve as the inside. It doesn't need to look perfect. Nobody's ever going to see it. And then I don't need to start this process over. I do have the 2.5 centimeters of stitches so that I could already measure my gauge, and I have about 7 stitches in 2.5 centimeters. So now for the adult medium size, I know how many increase rounds I need to do and how long I need to knit this tube for. I have, I think, everything I need to just carry on. The reason I wanted to cast this on now is not so much because it's cold here and I need to wear a hat. It's simply that I want this to be the project that I take to Barcelona with me. It's nice and compact, very portable. I can just throw it in my purse and I don't need to worry about anything complicated. I will hopefully just be, well, I definitely will be at the point where I'm just working the stockinette. So I think the key for me will actually be to not rush through this. I want to do the increases and basically just put it aside for now and work on it when I'm in Barcelona. Because I find, Oslo hats are kind of similar, and I've knit a bunch of those and they tend to go really quickly. So I also want to make sure I don't run out of knitting while I'm there because I'm going to be there for 3 nights. So excited to work on my first Musselburgh hat. Really grateful for all the helpful videos and tutorials that are online for it because I was a little bit confused reading this pattern. It's also been a little while since I knit a hat. I don't think I knit a single hat last year. No, I didn't. I am excited to work on this. I also just really love this color of yarn. I'd love to make a sweater in this. And in general, if you haven't worked with the Filcolana Arwetta, I really like this yarn, and I also think it holds up really well. It's 80% superwash merino wool, 20% nylon. I'm not the biggest fan of superwash, but I find my sweater number 8 is knit in this, and I think I have a few other pieces. This just feels really nice. It doesn't really pill. I find it really soft, and it doesn't have that slippery kind of quality that some superwash yarns have. So if you're looking for an affordable fingering weight yarn that can be really versatile, this comes in a ton of colors. It's very price conscious, and it's just a really nice yarn. If I end up liking that, I also have 2 other balls in the color Squirrel that were gifted to me last year. And so I figure I will make a second version in that color in the same yarn. And then the other project that I cast on this week was actually a pattern that was gifted to me by Anita. Thank you so much. I will also share at the end here all the patterns that were gifted to me following the last episode. Really grateful for that. I have no shortage of projects to work on now, so it's just a matter of deciding what I'm gonna do. She gifted me the Montpellier Slipover by November Knits, and you might remember that last episode I talked about this Patton's classic wool worsted yarn that my best friend's mom had gifted to me in Canada. And I've never worked with this yarn before. It is 100 grams for 177 meters, 100% pure new wool. And what color is this in? It's the color Natural Mix. So I was trying to figure out if I want to knit a scarf or a slipover, and I did a bunch of exploring on Ravelry and eventually decided that I really wanted to knit this Montpellier Slipover. It's been on my list for a while. I am not the biggest fan. I don't even know if it's fan. I don't have a lot of slipovers. I think I only have the Weekend Slipover V-neck by Petite Knit, which has been a whole saga. You can go back and watch my video on dyeing that knit using RIT dye. I still don't wear it. I think there's just so many things wrong with the fit of that piece for me and its overall versatility in my wardrobe. So I've debated, do I actually like slipovers or not? And I decided that I think I do. I do need to get like a nice white cotton or linen button up to wear under it, but I can easily solve that. I think I'll just go to Uniqlo. So yeah, I decided that I am gonna knit this because I think I will get a lot of wear, whether I wear it with something under or not. And it's not gonna look the most beautiful, but here is where I'm at with this piece. So you do these rib edge stitches for, I think, 9 stitches. You knit, I'm working on the back panel right now, and then you have edge stitches on this side. So that will form the back shaping. Then you do the armholes. Then I think you come pick up at the front, knit down, also do the armholes, and then join. So you're working top down, and then at the end I will pick up stitches for the collar, knit up, and do a full folded double collar. So really beautiful piece. I did my gauge swatch and I ended up being 1 stitch off in my row and stitch gauge, but I was worried if I went up in needle size to 5.5 millimeters on this, so this is 5. I thought it might be a little bit too gapey of a fabric. I really like the one that this creates, and so I wanted to stick with this, and therefore rather than knitting a size 2, I'm gonna go ahead and knit a size 3. I double checked. I should have enough yarn because I have 5 balls of this. Worst case, I will maybe just change up the collar a little bit if I'm running out. I don't know if you can hear that. That's the call for Ollie's dinner. She's upset I closed the door on him. So this is only 2 days of knitting for like a couple hours, and I made pretty good progress. I'm almost at the point where I start the armhole shaping. I think I only have 5 rows left. So I think this is gonna be a pretty quick knit. It's been a while since I've done anything on 5 millimeter needles. Is that true? I think that's true. I've been doing a lot on 4 millimeter lately. So new project, I'm very excited. I might bring this to Barcelona, but I think I want to leave more space for bringing yarn back as opposed to bringing more projects to knit on. And then just maybe a quick note that on the subject of slipovers, I have been trying to figure out what to do with this Filcolana Arwetta yarn that I have in the color 827. I think it's called Mustard, with the knitting for olive, mohair, and ochre. I bought this for a cognac sweater, but I only have enough to knit it at the correct gauge. So when I knit it last time, I knit a size up and I did a slightly tighter gauge, which I personally prefer. I did gauge swatch for this a while ago. I don't remember where I put the swatch. And I found on the, I think it's 5mm needles, and actually I think I was gonna have to go up even to 5.5 to get gauge. I just didn't like how loose the fabric was appearing in these two yarns. So I think I've decided, rather than doing another cognac sweater in this color, I will do another cognac at some point, but maybe even another mohair version because I really like that. I think what I'm gonna do is knit the new Mochi Slipover, I believe it's called, by VertKnit. She is coming out with that pattern in about 2 to 3 weeks, I think, from when I post this. And I really love the details of that. I already had the Mochi sweater on my list, but I figure since I have this yarn, I've been trying to find another purpose for it. I think this will make a beautiful slipover. I'll get a lot of wear out of it. I think I'm just going to hold on to this because I only have 4 balls of each. I was looking through Ravelry. There's very little I can do with 4 balls. Like, I could make a mohair fingering t-shirts, but you mostly know how I feel about that. They don't get a lot of wear for me. They're kind of impractical. So I figure a slipover, at least I can wear something under it, or when it is warmer, I can wear it on its own, though that probably won't be the default. I think I'll mostly wear it over something. So these yarns will be used soon, and I'm just patiently awaiting that pattern to come out. Also, if you've test knit it and you have any thoughts, let me know. But I just love the details. Like, I'm so picky about slipovers. I really want them to kind of come down on the arm a little bit more, have a really beautiful neckline without being too thick. And I've been looking for a pattern that fits my exact criteria. And when I saw that one, it really just spoke to me right away. And I know the quality of pattern writing and final garment that I'm getting with VertKnit. So I've decided I am going to just go ahead and knit that because I already have the yarn. So for the most part this year, in general, I've been trying to work with yarn I already have, or only buy when I have a specific project in mind and I'm ready to cast it on, like the SABAI or my freestyle shirt. And I'm trying to just use up all the yarn that I currently have in my very tiny stash. So that makes me feel good. I feel a lot of satisfaction from just getting through the yarn that I already have, knowing that I've got a purpose for it. And speaking of that, also went back and used some yarn leftovers that I had to fix a project that had been bothering me. So in, I think, my last wear test video, maybe even the one before that as well, I had finished my staple skirt by New Wave Knitting or Jeanette Gaudreau, and I really wasn't happy with the length. I tried to wear it this spring thinking, oh, maybe I just don't like wearing it with tights and that's why I never wear it. But the second I tried to wear it in spring, summer, I realized it's just way too short and I really needed to fix it. I love a knit skirt. I have so many pattern roundup videos on knit skirts and dresses. I get a ton of wear out of the 3 knit skirts that I have. So I have the Fancy Pepita skirt by Anne Catherine Stoll. I have skirt number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And now I have the staple skirt by New Wave Knitting. So I had finished this last year and just basically couldn't wear it. I have to wear a slip under it because my gauge ended up being off. So it is super see-through if I don't wear a little something under, but it was about 4 centimeters too short. So I just felt really uncomfortable every time I put this on, and I would be spending the day trying to pull it down. So now, I mean, you can see from where it's still wet, I blocked it, but from about this point is where I added length. So I put in a lifeline up here, removed the folded hem, and ended up doing, for the first time ever, I think, a perfect lifeline. I didn't have any issues, which was very different from when I tried to fix my Monday sweater. I got the perfect lifeline in, I ripped back, and then I just knit the 4 additional centimeters and did the folded hem again. The folded hem is on a 3.25 millimeter needle, whereas the body of the skirt is on 4. And actually this folded hem, I think I did much looser, so I didn't have the same issues with it flipping up. I am in general just getting really good at a folded hem, I've noticed. I've done so many on my last few projects and I love the way that they look. So I haven't had a chance to wear this yet. You can see from where that dark line is, it is still drying. I will insert video of it, but I can already tell you this is going to get a lot more wear now. I love the color, I love the yarn. It is knit in the Rosa Pomar Vovo yarn in the color 7, which is this kind of like berry wine color. I think this is great yarn for a skirt because it's very sturdy, a little bit rustic, but it also blooms really, really nice. So I'll be inserting pictures so you can see what it looked like pre-blocking. It really just completely changes when you block your knit, and that's also why always block your knits. It makes such a big difference. So happy to have a fixed project. I am really, really trying with knits that I think I can salvage to go back and make them pieces that I am gonna love and wear. And I'm glad that I spent the time on this. I think it was about, I don't know, 5 to 6 hours of extra effort. Probably not even that, 3 to 4. I didn't time it. And this means this will be a piece that I actually have in rotation in my wardrobe. So stay tuned in an upcoming wear test video. I will circle back on this and share how I'm feeling about it. So I don't have any new yarn acquisitions. I do want to quickly chat about all the amazing patterns that I was gifted following my last video. I can't thank you guys enough. You know, usually I have the link for my Ravelry wish list in my show description, but I rarely ever call it out, and it just really meant a lot that so many of you sent me a pattern. So thank you to Ursula, who sent me cardigan number 10, which I'm hoping to find yarn for at Barcelona Knits. Thank you to Anita for the November Knits slipover pattern. Thank you, Lara, for the Sandro pullover. I'm hoping that I will get some confidence to knit an actual cable sweater pattern, and I think that's a great one because it calls for a drops yarn, which is quite affordable, so I think I will maybe cast that on this winter. And thank you, Diana, for the Sophie sweater by Paula Strict. I have had that on my list forever. Maybe this is the year that I'm finally gonna make it. I don't know why I keep putting that one off, but I think it's been in my last 2.5 years of seasonal knitting plans. So this is maybe now the sign that I needed to finally make that. And thank you, Frokabo, for the Paul cardigan by Mareka Knit. Also a cardigan that has been on my list for a while. I've seen many other knitters make it. I think it's the perfect simple basic cardigan while also being a little bit complicated, so you don't have to just completely tune out while you're knitting it. And finally, thank you, Claudia, for the Lane Loop sweater, which is the sister pattern to my Lane Loop tee. And I do have yarn that I've been having in mind for that, which is my Zilana Kari yarn, which Shilpa, one of my knitting friends, gifted me a couple of years ago now. So I've always had in my mind that I was gonna knit that specific pattern with it, and I think now maybe it's time. So thank you so much for, again, all the comments, all the love on my last video. Also, the patterns, it means a lot. It's really helping inspire me again to start knitting. And I have so many ideas for new videos now. I'm feeling really re-inspired. I think knowing that my mom was such a big supporter of this channel and really loved watching me knit and seeing my projects, it is reminding me how much I enjoy this, how much I love connecting with all of you. And I'd also mentioned in my last video that when I started this channel, my mom had sent me a card to congratulate me and say how proud she was, and I couldn't find it. So after I recorded that last video, I was trying to go through all my kind of boxes of cards of hers, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I was really worried that in the move I maybe threw it away, But I opened up a knitting bag the other day and I found it and it made me so happy. So there's this one, and then there's another one that was for when I hit 1,000 subscribers. So my mom just said, congrats on your YouTube videos. We're really proud of you for following your dreams and trying new things. So yeah, I think, you know, these cards are so special. I love too that so many of you said you now want to do this for your kids, really just write them cards that they can open for different moments of their life. I really encourage that. I love having this memory of my mom and something to just really hold on to when I can't be with her. And, you know, of course she's passed, so then it means even more. But I think even just if you live far away, if your kids have moved out, having this connection to your parents is so special. And I would love to see her kind of legacy carried on in that way. So please do that for your children. They will really love it, and I think it will create a very special bond for you. And if you are at Barcelona Knits next weekend, please, if you see me, just come up to me, chat, or send me a message beforehand. Let's organize a knitting date. I would love to meet any of you that are there, and I promise I'm approachable. I keep saying that I want people to reach out about knitting dates or connecting. I mean it. So please just come up to me, introduce yourself. I am going alone, so I just really want to meet people. I think I'm going to go to the free event that they're having Friday night. So I'm hoping that I can meet some people that then on Saturday and Sunday I can also attend the event with. Okay. This ended up not being as short as I thought it would be. Hopefully you're still here, and it just felt good to sit down and chat through all the projects that I'm really excited to be working on. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you in my next video.